Hey guys, welcome to Mega Maniacs. Thank you for joining me tonight. And I'm going to try to keep an eye on the live chat, but I'm not going to be able to keep it up because we have a lot of media to get through. So I'm sure most of you are following all of the things that are going on in all of these mega ministries and Daystar, and it seems to be, for me, so many common themes. And just in investigating on my own, what are the similarities in all of these cases? Are there connections? And we're finding that absolutely there are many connections with these ministries and ministers that are either engaging in sexual abuse, child sexual abuse, and or cover-ups. And it's absolutely appalling. And over the last week or last couple of days, Faith Life Church in New Albany, Ohio, which is not very far from World Harvest Church, has been the newest one added to the lineup. And I think that it really hits home more for a lot of people because there were real connections with Faith Life Church and World Harvest Church, and we're going to show some of those coming up. But not only that, there are people that I know that knows and knew the Cassie family back in the early 2000s, and were friends even with Tommy, and are just not only disgusted and flabbergasted, but they cannot believe that someone that they knew and had seemingly normal, had a good relationship, seemed to be a Christian, is now accused of doing all of these horrible things, not only to girls in the youth group, but his own sister. So I I'm going to start the episode a little bit differently because I think that we need to understand that child sex abuse specifically is a rampant issue, and that it affects way more people than you would even think, because a lot of people just do not want to talk about it openly and really feel like obviously they need to trust someone before they do so. So I am going to share something first here. Let me go to sharing my screen, hopefully. Um, and let's go here. Sorry, guys, I'm still a little bit new to this. So there we go, share screen. So I am gonna go here. It's actually this one. So this website is called Darkness to Light, and it highlights some of the oh, am I not? I don't think I've got it on the right one, guys. I'm sorry. Stop sharing that screen. Let me go to this one. Bear with me here. Um, Here we go. The statistics. So the um, the issues with child sex abuse. So here are some statistics. And why is this not, you guys? I'm sorry that I can't even see the comments, but I know that this isn't sharing what I want it to share here. Okay, we're going to try this one more time. So there we go. The child statistics. Okay, here we go. So the on my other screen, I had actually highlighted some of these areas, and I guess it's not gonna come up here, but I'm gonna still go through these So on my other copy, I have these things highlighted. So this talks about child sex abuse in general, but it talks about what's defined as child sex abuse or as child sexual abuse. And, someone under 18, I think we all understand those aspects of child sex abuse. Children are unable to give consent. An act is considered sexual when it's done for the purpose of sexual gratification. An act where there is a power differential with the victim in a position of inequality in which their vulnerability is exploited. So I wanted to give some of the major aspects of this. So child sex abuse is much more prevalent, and I actually thought the numbers were even more shocking than this, but 1 in 10 children experience child sex abuse and assault. And this also breaks it down for what racial groups are the most victimized, and 72.1% are white, 22.8% are Latino, 20% are Black or African American, and then 1% Asian, 1% Native American, 5% multiracial, and 0.02% Pacific Islander. And this website clearly has a lot of information on it, but I thought that there were some shocking statistics here. How often do children disclose abuse? And it says the average age for disclosing child sex abuse and assault is about 52 years. So 52 years old is the average age that somebody actually admits that these things happened to them when they were a child. 86% goes unreported altogether. The majority of sexual abuse victims who disclose their abuse delay disclosure until adulthood. Even when disclosures occur, a very small amount, 16% of them, are formally disclosed directly to authorities. And this part is extremely important to me, and I think it should be important to everyone, because if victims do not come forward, if victims do not feel safe to come forward, or that they will not be supported, then we are likely not going to hear from them. And luckily, there were some whistleblowers for Faith Life Church that gave victims not only the comfort, but the courage to come forward and talk about what has happened to them. And that is one of the main reasons that this has seemingly transpired so quickly, is because there were people in place that were not going to stand for this not being investigated, and that the victims would not be heard. And I pray that the same thing happens with World Harvest Church. Not to discount anything that's happening anywhere else, but as you guys know, that's where my experience is, and we're going to get into this even a little bit further here in a few moments. But this is we can't do anything without victims coming forward and being willing to tell their experiences to authorities. And so I am just imploring you that if you are a victim, someone that is a victim, to encourage them to come forward, encourage them to reach out to someone that they trust, reach out to me. We're not publicizing everything, but this is a call to action of sorts to get investigations happening, not only at World Harvest or Faith Life Church, but at any organization that is abusing and exploiting children, and abusing and exploiting people as well. So this goes on to say what helps children tell. Access to someone they can trust, realizing that it's not normal, inability to cope with the emotional distress that they're um, under while this is, the distress that they have going on, wanting something to be done about it, expecting to be believed, and just being asked. This talks about the perpetrators of sexual abuse. 90% of children who were victims of sexual abuse knew their abuser. 60% are acquaintances, teachers, neighbors, or community leaders. 30% of children are abused by immediate or extended family. And in only 10%, which is still too much, of children are sexually abused by a stranger. And again, this goes on. This has a lot of good information just to make you aware. But I also wanted to point out just a couple of more things about what these statistics say. So, our abusers primarily male, and it says yes, obviously they are primarily male. However, women are 4.5 times more likely than men to offend against their own biological children. And I was completely shocked by that. And this also talks about um, why people don't come forward if they are abused by a woman, and it they feel like they won't be believed, or it's not as big of a deal as if a male does it. And let's see, without my highlights, you guys, I don't nothing is standing out to me as much. When surveying 100 adult male child sexual abusers, they found that abuse or the first sexual contact occurred mostly between 3 p.m. and 9 p.m., often inside the home, with another person close by in the home in 2 out of 3 cases, by someone outside of their family. So there is a a lot again of information here, and I encourage you to go and check out this website on your own just for more information. So with all of that information, now I'm going to kind of get started into some of this media, but I'm going to take a quick look at the the comments here. Um, all right, hi guys. Let's see. I see that. Oh, hey Everett, hey Annie. HU. So the website. If you go and take a look, let me see if I can pull it back up here. If you just type in your search bar, darkness to light, child sex abuse, or something along those lines, it will come up. And after we're done, I can post that as well in the comments, so, or in the description. So now I'm going to get started with several clips here. And hi Terrence. um, the first one I'm going to play, and I'm probably going to play it twice because I first tried to slow it down, and I think that it kind of messes with the audio. And if it still does, then I'm going to tell you what is actually being said. But I'm going to play it for you once, and then we'll talk about it for a second, and then I'm going to play it for you again. So let's just play this first clip. So this first clip is from Dominion Camp meeting in 2006. And you're going to see Rod, Ashton, and Joni on stage. And at this point, Ashton would have been about 17 years old.
Absolutely wonderful. Daddy.
So I know it's sort of a short clip, but I haven't seen many men be more interested in hugging and kissing on their daughter more than their wife. And so I'm going to show this one more time for you guys.
Absolutely wonderful. Daddy.
And I don't know if you heard the audio. I couldn't really hear it on my end very well, but what he said, he says something twice to Ashton. He says, "Come here and kiss daddy. Come here and kiss daddy." And with everything that's coming to light with Rod and Ashton seemingly walking around naked in front of each other, in front of other staff members, the behavior is just very, very odd and bizarre. And a lot of this is done right in the open, and it's very strange to me that nobody else has noticed, or maybe they did and they didn't see anything. But now that this other information is coming to light, maybe makes it stand out a little bit more. So at this very same Dominion Camp meeting, 2006, I have another clip that I'm going to play for you. And this was the same Dominion Camp meeting, and Everett and I at Ohio for Freedom, we've played this for you guys before, so I didn't re-download it. But the clip not the clip I'm going to show, but the clip I'm getting ready to talk about. So we know that Juanita has prophesied, over Ashton the first time at 12 years old. She did it again at this Dominion Camp meeting when Ashton was 17 years old. And so at this Dominion Camp meeting, this is the specific clip that I pulled that we're going to discuss, because there are some allegations that go along with this clip.
Literally stand. A month ago, hell came against my daughter. And my wife and I took her alone, and we laid hands on her, and we rebuked and we screamed. I can't describe to you what we did. And she began to scream out of her belly, "Daddy, all this against me is to try to get to you." And up out of my spirit came, "No, everything that comes against me is to try to get to you." It's trying to get to her. It's not about me. My vow's not about me. We've got to make a generational transfer. There's a transition.
So when he's talking about a month ago, Ashton was under, a demonic attack, and him and Joni had to rebuke this. Now, I am going to preface alleged, okay? But this timeline of when this happened lines up perfectly when Ashton was allegedly pregnant by her boyfriend that also went to Harvest Preparatory School, and subsequently the termination of that pregnancy. And I don't know if we will ever know, have real evidence of that, unless there was somebody that was in the room when those things took place. But this information comes from very credible witnesses and credible people that were around during this time and were privy to this information. Now, we also know that in 2005, so just the year before, that there was a young lady, and I do have the letter. However, I don't think when I share my screen, it's going to allow me to show it to you because it's not in my search bar. But the letter was from a young lady, and we've shown this before, so sorry to the people that have not seen the previous episodes, but the letter was written by a young lady that had been sexually abused by an elder in the church. And she was 13 or 14 years old, or 13 years old when it started. And once she had gotten counseling and felt like that she was she was in a good place, in a place that she could at least let the church know what was going on. In 2005, she wrote a letter to inform Rod and of leadership of what was going on back in the 90s. And seemingly her and her family were very well known. And instead of meeting with her, instead of talking to her, and she does go into graphic detail in the letter, which she blocked out for us, but she allowed them to see the graphic nature of what happened to her. And they did not meet with her. They did not speak with her. Instead, they sent her the email and the phone number to their attorney. And that perpetrator, that elder that started abusing her when she was just 13 years old, since he was there until about 2007, but about 10 years later, he passed away. And so there are several situations, and we're going to talk about a couple more, but there is another video that I want to play with you. And actually, it not only features Carol, who you guys have seen on the podcast several times, but she is the one that made me aware that this existed. So just to give you a little setup to this video, this would have been in 2007. This was a skit that was put on by the youth group and shown to the church. And this was what they came up with as something that was not only appropriate, but Carol said that she was kind of cast in these roles time and time again by the youth group leaders in what could be seen as a hypersexualized role. So just one moment, I'm going to play this.
I can't believe we never met before.
I know, that's so weird.
Where are you from?
I'm from Lancaster.
I'm from Groveport.
That's crazy how we never met at War Harvest before.
Yeah, but I really think God brought us together for this week.
Me too. I think it's going to be an amazing camp.
Last night when I saw you worshiping, I really knew you were the one.
Oh, thanks. That's so sweet. And thanks for inviting me to sit with you at lunch today.
I wouldn't want anybody else but you. Well, I've never met anyone like you.
I've never met anyone like you either.
I think I love you.
I think I love you too. That must be the dinner bell. Come on, let's get our seats.
Camp's been really great this weekend.
I know. World Ball was so much fun.
I know, but what about us?
Well, you're amazing and everything, but I just like the distance, and I just don't see how this is going to work.
Yeah, but maybe God will speak to us at service tonight. See you, Nick. Hey, Jordan. This week's been so awesome. I'm going to call you right when we get home.
Nick, I was thinking, and I mean, I just don't see how this is going to work out. The distance, and once school starts up, all we'll have is the weekends, and I'm not going to have a way to your house, and I just don't see how this is going to work at all.
We can make it.
No, Nick, it's over.
Was being so close and having so much to say and watching.
What an odd thing to put on as a skit, my opinion. I'm going to take a look at the comments and see what you guys have to say. Carol said, hindsight is 2020. Looking back, when as a 34-year-old woman, you can see clearly how inappropriate the entire environment was. I was 15 filming this, and yeah, it's obviously, not very, it wasn't like a high high money production or anything like that, but it wasn't normal, it wasn't funny. Like, what was the purpose of doing something like that would be my main question. And so I want to talk now more about some of the issues within World Harvest Church, because of the leadership, and then we're going to kind of then move into how this is all ties in together, unfortunately, with these other ministers and ministries. So we know that there was another leader, an elder, that was accused of an inappropriate relationship with a Harvest Preparatory student back in the 2000s. The youth were often at their house of this leader and elder, and it's alleged that this leader would take the minor upstairs in front of other youth and in front of his wife and be upstairs for at least an hour, with nobody else around. And this leader and elder later left and started a church in Kentucky. And some of this was reported. The young lady that was a Harvest Preparatory student was kicked out of World Harvest Church, and the elder leader stayed and later was sent off to start his own church. Another leader, who was pretty openly homosexual as a World Harvest Bible College student, he allegedly raped several boys at youth camps, and he was also a youth leader. He also continues to help World Harvest and Rod during Dominion Camp meeting. And he was also sent off and started a ministry of his own as well, I believe, in Tennessee. Then we have, and that there were cover-ups in that situation as well. With Ashton, we know that she had an inappropriate relationship when she was about 26 years old with a Harvest Preparatory student. And the girlfriend of that young man found text messages and pictures on his phone. She reported it, and CPS investigated it. But because the Parsley family and the family of this young man were working on the cover up, nothing came of it. So most recently, there was a coach at Harvest Preparatory School. He was let go and paid out his contract on January 31st of 2025. He was caught texting a student, a female student at Harvest Preparatory School, and the school, the mother did find out and let the school know. The school did let him go and paid out his contract. But my contacts at the police department are saying that no reports have been made, not by the parents, not by anyone at the school. And there allegedly is another coach at Harvest Preparatory School currently that has been written up for having inappropriate relationships with students there, but he has not been terminated yet. And the reason why all of this is important is showing the statistics at the beginning of the podcast of how many people come forward, how many children come forward, how many parents actually go to the authorities. And it's a very, very small percentage. And whether they think that they're protecting their child, whether they think that that it wasn't that big of a deal, the school's trying to save their reputation, whatever the reason is, these things are not getting reported and they get covered up. And now we're looking at decades where we have very similar stories, but nothing is being done. These organizations continue to operate, and they continue to let this kind of behavior go on, and they just cover it up instead of doing anything about it. So I have heard from several people about the connections between Faith Life Church and World Harvest Church, and that the Cassis had been to World Harvest Church several times, and that many members that ended up leaving World Harvest Church actually chose Faith Life Church as their church. So at this point, we know that Tom Cassis is the one that's being accused of allegedly abusing his sister, and that there are up to 11 other victims, and it appears to be other perpetrators as well. And that there's also some young boys that could have been victims, and they are very hesitant to speak up because of the stigma that goes along with that. But we know that this information has been covered up for a while. And I want to just show this one Facebook post because, again, people are getting courage, and I think that that is a good thing, to speak out and to not cover these things up. But it needs to continue to happen. It is so important that people feel like they will be believed, that they are going to be protected if they do speak up. So this Facebook post was by Kirsten McKinney, and she's talking a lot about the situation with the situation at Faith Life Church with the allegations that were coming out, and that that at that point Dave Yost didn't want to have anything to do with it, and that they were having a hard time getting it investigated. But there is one post that's underneath Miranda's post, I believe, and or Kirsten's post. It's Miranda that made the post that I wanted to stop. So it's right here. She talks about growing up at World Harvest Church, and when her family kind of saw all of the things that were going on there, they ended up moving over to World Harvest Church, and they were absolutely shocked and appalled that some of the same things that they were experiencing and were trying to get away from, they are now finding out are happening at their home church. And then we also know, everything that's going on with Daystar and the Lambs and Joni and covering up the alleged sex abuse on their granddaughter, and Jonathan and Susie speaking out against them and being not only terminated from Daystar, but they were being weaponized, they were being ostracized. We know Robert Morris is alleged of sex abuse on a 12-year-old girl who was Cindy Clemenshire, and that she finally spoke out. And then we also know the issues with Mike Bickle, Paul and Jane Crouch. They tried to cover up the rape of their teenage granddaughter by someone that worked at their company. And then after they found out what had happened to their granddaughter, they blamed her for being drugged and raped by someone that was working at TBN. And it's absolutely insanity to me that people do not protect children. And I just have a couple more things to show you guys as far as the connections go. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is a website, and this website is from two people, Dan and Sheila Witham, that worked at World Harvest Church for several years and handled a lot of their media. And they ended up leaving at some point. I don't know if they left on good or bad terms, but I would assume good terms, because they're still talked about in pretty glowing ways. And here is their website. So it's called the Witham Media Group, I believe. And this just talks about the ministries they serve: Paula White, Rod Parsley, Darlene Bishop, Gary and Drenda Cassie, Jimmy Swaggart. And so there are obviously connections right there, but then we're going to show the Daystar lineup. So this is current. So a lot of some of the people that have pulled out of Daystar already because of everything that's going on, but we know that Rod isn't going to pull out. We know likely the Cassis are not going to pull out. And I even left on Perry Stone. Now, he hasn't been convicted of any child sex abuse, but he has been convicted, or it was alleged that he was groping women, that he was making very lewd and lascivious comments to female staffers at his company, asking them to massage him and give him hugs, and all kinds of crazy stuff that you wouldn't expect in corporate America, for goodness sakes, and let alone in a ministry. And I thought that it was important not just to discuss the connections between these ministries and ministers, but also talking about how they all seem to have the same MO. Like, do they decide at some point that this ministry business is a very good lucrative business model, and they're making lots of money and they don't have to pay taxes, and the government and the IRS don't want to get very involved, and unless there are real things that are being alleged about these places, and even then it's hard to get an investigation. So they decide that this is a great business model for them to make a lot of money, even though they're going to have to blaspheme God. But then you see all of I mean, we even heard at Faith Life Church about, them hiring these people and paying them $10 an hour, right out of the Rod Parsley World Harvest Church playbook. And then all of the cover-ups that happen. How can you not protect children first? And how can you not protect your own children and your own grandchildren? I will never understand that. And I will talk till I'm blue in the face to make sure that there is some attention brought to this, because it's happening way too much. And we're probably going to continue to hear about it. And the body of Christ needs to stand up. They need to say enough is enough. And for goodness sakes, give these victims somebody to talk to so that they have courage to stand up and say that we're not going to take this anymore. So before I end, if you guys have not seen, I did start a petition, much like the petition that was started for Faith Life Church. And I looked at kind of what they have done to get an investigation started, and I've tried to emulate a few of those things to try to get the same thing done at World Harvest Church. And if you have not seen or you have not signed, I am just going to show you on change.org. There is a petition that was started for initiating a thorough investigation into World Harvest Church. And I would just ask you, if you feel inclined, please go on and sign that, and please share it with people. And also showing, look at the views. So it's had 4,630 views, but not as many signatures. And so I would just encourage all of you to please help me and Everett and Laura Lynn and Ray at the Unction, and Marianne, and all of these podcasters that are trying to shed light on this. Please help us. Please work with us. Please support us in what we're doing and trying to help and save these kids and future people that may think that these organizations and businesses are a good place to go to church and to send their kids. And let's see, wonder if Fern Finland said, wonder if Rod P will sue the guy that is over this petition. It's me. I started it. I started the petition. So we have to do something we have to do something for the kids. And I'm sorry, guys, I know I'm rambling a little bit here, and it's some nerves, but mostly this hits way too close to home for me, not only because of the position that I held there and because I sent my kids to school there, but I was a victim of child sex abuse, and I did not come forward until I was well into my 20s. So not, as old as some of these other statistics, but it nearly ruined my life. And I don't want anyone else to have to go through that if it can be prevented. And so this is a call to action. Please sign the petition, share the petition, and anyone that's out there, please know that there are people that you can talk to, and that it is important to be courageous and stand up and say enough is enough. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and please have a good evening.